All right, so this is different for us. So this is our first surface level sound off.
Yep.
I think we wanted to create a way to respond to reactions to our most recent episodes, and here we are on yet another Zoom call. So very
Getting me
happy
out
to
of
see
it.
that. I mean, very happy to see that on my calendar. Just another Zoom. But
I
these are
can't get
meant to
away from
be
you girls.
literally at every angle. The group text, the podcast, the studio, the Zoom. It's what's next. I actually have a new thing that I do want to hang out with you guys on. I'll tell you later
Oh
today.
God.
I'm not coming.
You are coming
I'm
actually,
not. I've
so
had enough.
I've already factored you guys in. It's going to be great.
Cancel surface
Um,
level.
so let's jump right in. So season 3, episode 1,
Hmm.
ParTy
Mhm.
in play
Mhm.
with a capital
Mhm.
T for Tina.
Ooh.
So we talk. so
Go
we
Tina.
okay. So we talked with our guest Deshawn Usher about access to HIV medication, safe sex practices, and the proliferation of party drugs and meth within our community. And we got a lot of comments about the
Mm.
episode. People saying that condom usage doesn't even exist anymore.
Right.
People saying that HIV prevention and PrEP has made people want to use condoms less or not at all. I think
Mhm.
generally, like a lot of the comments that we got, they echoed our sentiment and what we were experiencing within the current climate. But one comment was, or one question rather, was stood out to me, and it
Mhm.
was, should there be more emphasis and resources dedicated to educating people about responsible use of party drugs? So I guess the
That's
idea
interesting.
here is like, yeah, like let's not shame people who are, dealing with drug addiction, but should there actually be resources saying like, if you're going to do meth, like only do it on Sunday at 2 p.m. and only a little
Uh,
bit. What do y'all think about that?
Not a resource guide for how to safely
well, those
do
things
hard
exist.
drugs.
Like, you've never seen those charts that are like, if you do Molly, don't mix it with this, but you can mix it
I've
with
seen
that.
one of those, yeah. And
Like,
I've
it
never
was
seen that
like
chart. Is it
it's
those
like
like
a like?
things,
it looks crazy. It's like a whole chart of like literally every drug in the book, and it's like
yeah,
depending on it just shows you like which drugs not to mix with each other and which drugs are okay to
yeah.
mix with each other.
Like, I
Yeah.
And
think
and then it has things like if it shows like if when it lands on a certain thing, it'll be like a skeleton, being like,
you giving up the ghost. But no, I think it's important to educate people on things like that because whether you tell them to or tell them not to, like people are absolutely going to try things in their lives because they're adults. Um, Encouraging the use of highly addictive drugs, that's
mhm.
like the line I wouldn't necessarily want to cross.
Right.
But I
That's what
definitely
I
think
was
there's,
thinking.
yeah, I think there's value in education. But
I just
like,
feel like it's a
yeah,
slippery slope. Like once
yeah,
you start creating resources and things to tell people like, hey, if you're going to do Molly, like don't do it with heroin. Like I don't know what
yeah.
the
Like I think
with the
that's valuable, but like a little Molly Lounge. Like I don't know if that's something that should just be
Molly
like.
Lounge.
Well, you think about like in Amsterdam how they have like
Sounds
little smoke coffee shops.
that's the circuit party. The Molly Lounge.
Exactly. You don't need to have access to that every day.
That sounds
No, but
so
I mean, I
cute.
think there's about like it's kind of what this reminds me of is like when a parent, for instance, is like raising a child, and they're like, if my child is going to smoke weed, I want
I was thinking
I'm
about
gonna
that
do it with
too.
them. I'm gonna show them how like to do it the right way, so that they're not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they know what to look for because it's like if someone is gonna do it, you want them to use it responsibly so that they don't end up dead.
I just,
Um,
Right.
yeah, I think the line becomes though, like, is there a responsible way to use highly addictive drugs that can be like, you could smoke as much weed as you want, child, but it ain't gonna kill you. It ain't gonna really hurt you. But like,
mm,
I just
I,
I mean, it's illegal. So I just feel like organizations like if you're putting out resources telling people how to responsibly use highly addictive drugs, you are in some ways encouraging it. If you're not just telling people don't do it, like you're
mhm.
encouraging it. And that's where I
I don't
think the
think it's
education is
encouraging though.
important.
It's like prohibition. Like when you like make it to where something's illegal and you tell them you period can't do it, that's ignoring the fact that people are going to do something. So and I think you
Hmm.
should still have some level of knowledge around a thing. Even if it's a bad
Yeah.
decision that you're making for yourself or your life, I think it's still important to have knowledge around it.
Maybe it's just, more resources about like what the side effects are and what the drug is and how it affects your body, and
Hmm.
less about like this is how you should use it. Like this is how you should like, engage it. And like I think that, yeah, I think
Right.
it's probably
Like
like more like the positioning of like what's the message you're sending people? Like educating
100%.
yourself on like how it could impact your health, or educating people on, how to have a good time but not too much of a good time.
I mean, but you still you have those like like the amount of alcohol you should drink before you teeter into the realm of alcohol poisoning and death. Like,
do I? Because
well,
I don't.
there are resources for you to be able to get that information, even if you don't know. Is what I'm saying. So I
Yeah.
think that making people aware of information, I don't ever think is a bad thing. Is my point.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I would agree
So
with that.
so let's go into the next question. So we spent a fair portion of the episode discussing how we all can practice being more compassionate to people who are battling with drug addiction. But one
Mhm.
listener wanted to know, what does compassion look like outside of caring for the person that has substance abuse issues?
Outside of
Uh,
caring for them.
yeah.
Yeah, like like
This question, it came to me first, and it was one of those things where if you have had people in your family who suffered from crack abuse or other drugs that are highly addictive and can really change how that person acts around you, around your family, around kids, like it's not always, hey, come stay at my house and figure it out. Sometimes it's you need to get help separately, or it is you can't be exposed to young members in your family, or whatever it may be. I think that helping someone or showing them the way to resources, or even stepping back and giving them the space and the alone time because they have to make that decision for themselves is a part of caring. Like it's not,
Hmm.
unfortunately, always just sunshine and rainbows and you tell them they should get better and they listen. Sometimes it's, hey, I can't help you anymore. And I think that also shows a level of care when like you have to push someone to the point to do something for themselves.
have you
Oh,
guys ever had to like care
absolutely.
for anyone who did battle drug addiction? Like anybody have any
Um,
firsthand experience? I don't.
I
Uh,
I do I do have an experience with a friend that actually was using drugs, and we thought as a friend group that they were kind of like going above and beyond and like doing it a bit too much, and that it was actually affecting them, the person, and it was changing them. And we sat down with this friend and was like, listen, you need to figure out, basically, like we wanted to be there for him. We noticed what was going on, and we wanted to not just be whispering around him, but like actually confront him and talk about it. But it was hard because he went to a place of defense, and so once we tried a couple times to like say something and have our little like friend intervention, we kind of were like, all right, girl, we've done what we can do.
yeah.
And the next step would be like going to, which might be crossing the line, is like going to a family member and seeing, and that might be like a bridge too far. Like I don't know when you cross that line of like, am I doing too much,
Yeah.
or should I mind my business? I don't know.
Yeah, my parents let a family member stay with us once who was dealing with some issues with drugs. Family member ended up like stealing and stuff from my parents, and at a certain point, they had to be like, "Listen, you have to leave. Like, you have to find somewhere else to go to get help. We have kids here." And I think that's the uglier part about, especially these highly addictive drugs, that it's not always someone offers you help and then you immediately receive it and become healed. I
Hmm.
think parts of it are tough decisions that friends and family have to make
Yeah.
around their own
Yeah,
safety, sanity, life, home, etc. So,
right.
Hmm.
And another quick example that is close to home is my father was he need like my grandmother and my aunt needed to help him by saying like we can't do anything further for you. He was on drugs, um, and specifically it was cocaine. And my grandmother and aunt were like, you gotta go to rehab, and he did. and he came out on the other side of it. And like the irony or the full circle moment is like, my dad is a drug counselor today. And it makes him a really good drug counselor because he knows he's been, you know, in a place. So he's able to really help people who are in need of that kind of help. So
we should have had your dad on the episode. We need those resources.
I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, oh shit, like duh. So yeah.
Keep that in mind. All right, so the last question that we're going to discuss today is actually not even specific to this episode. There was one listener who said, how long is our process for developing these episodes? For example, coming up with the topics, coming up with the questions, editing the actual audio.
Too damn long.
Who wants to take that?
You got it. I feel like you can do that quicker than either of us.
I don't really know if there's like a time frame. It's like, I mean, what?
Right. The thing is, like, we sit down and we come together when we have a target. Like, we start with the target date of when we want to launch the podcast for the season, and we work backwards from there. So we give ourselves time to come up with what episodes do we want to discuss. And so, like, right now we're in season, but we are also thinking about like season 4, where we will put ideas in an idea bucket, and we come back and revisit. We land on what the ideas are, what the topics are for each episode, and then we like figure out everything else. Social media, right. What we want, like, because we have, as you can see up here, we have art for every episode, so they're themed, and we come up with what we need to wear. We got the photo shoot. We got to actually like get the guests. So I'd say, how long do you think that process was? Like this go around, it was like a couple months, right?
We started in February, so it's April, February, March. So we spent 2 months basically getting everything's done for up to the first 3 episodes, I would say. Yeah, and if we want to say like what is like finished, it took us 2 months to basically do everything for the first 3 episodes, with like some other work obviously for other things, but that's what's done.
Right. And I think it varies, right? Like episode to episode. I think some episodes we have is more of a challenge figuring out how to have the conversation and figuring out what the questions are and what guests we want to contribute to the conversation. And then I think there's topics where we knock it out in like 20 minutes. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, but we've had like a few episodes this season where we were just like, I think we're done. Like, I think that this is crazy. We don't have to revisit this. This is the episode. So definitely varies. But speaking of episodes,
good question.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a lot of work, but you know it varies. But speaking of episodes, new season 3 episodes premiere each Wednesday, and each week we'll respond to your questions and comments in our surface level sound off, which is what this is. And I think that's all the time that we have for this week. Can we like agree to end this Zoom meeting and make it the quickest Zoom meeting of the week?
Bye.
All right, bye. I'll talk to you guys later.